Oh. Oh. Ah. What's going on, everybody? Devdumlino here, synthesizer of opinions, back with a list, and today we're talking honorable mentions. Albums that didn't necessarily make it into my 2017 top favorite albums of the year, but are still worth mentioning, still worth giving some praise to. Now, without further ado, we can go ahead and move forward with an album that I really like by an artist who I'm coming to really enjoy, and that is Rap Album 2 by John Wayne. Through it all, Rap Album 2 is a full-bodied experience, and John Wayne bodies this experience. Pay attention to the way John Wayne effectively navigates both as a producer and a rhyme sayer, a series of tones and moods and storybook destinations, all marked with this unifiedly monochromatic tinge. Again, when it comes to the rapping and when it comes to the beat making, John Wayne is awesome on this project and kind of in a league of his own. I would actually name this objectively, in my opinion, a top 10 project of the year. The reason that this album sits in the honorable mention category for me is simply because I didn't return to this project quite enough to justify it being in my top 10. 2017 was a year filled to the brim with interesting projects, and this was a project that fell in the back of my mind for several months at a time. But when I did return to this thing, I found myself so engaged and enamored with it. So, another album that falls into that same category of an album treading into the back of my mind by my own fault, and thus is on this honorable mentions list and not the top 10, Laila's Wisdom by Rapsody. Now, if you know anything about me, you would know that Rapsody is by far my favorite female MC probably to ever do it. When it comes to lyrical ability, when it comes to lyrical content, evoking emotions in lyrics and music, and having Ninth Wonder as your right-hand man for the beats, I don't even know who I would put above Rapsody in that category. Laila's Wisdom doesn't really shake things up or change the pace at all in comparison to her previous works, and for a lot of artists that would be a problem, right? But with Rapsody and her style and Ninth Wonder and his beat-making style both being simultaneously so solid and so timeless, each of them, it's almost like why fix what's not broken? I think on this project, what I did end up liking in comparison to her previous works, which are all great. If you haven't listened to Rapsody, go listen to some Rapsody, dude. Anyways, the thing I like about this album more than the others is the lyrics that show up are very emotionally astute. Rapsody is a very admirable and empowering feminine presence in hip-hop, and that is something that shines through very well on this project. Now, to the opposite hemisphere of the hip-hop globe, I gotta give it up to Playboi Carti for the Playboi Carti mixtape. Cash Carti came through with one hell of a major debut, considering all the expectations and the anticipation that this project had on its back. This mixtape has two distinct qualities that I think make it sort of a top-notch project in 2017. Beat selection and replay value. The breakthrough production by Pierre Bourne on this project, Hey Pierre, you wanna come out here? Magnolia beat, Do That Shit beat, and a couple others on this project are major highlights for me with this mixtape. And up and down, there are great instrumentals on this project outside of the Pierre beats. So full-bodied and boisterous, they are accessorized well, and a lot of these tracks end up being ones that you can return to again and again and again, as much of America has done since this thing came out in April. And I know Playboi Carti is a first ballot mumble rapper, but on some tracks, he's okay. On others, it does seem like the instrumentals are doing well in spite of him. And then on the rest of the tracks, he's just kind of a placeholder. Moving on, another project that made a really big splash was the Without Warning 21 Savage, Offset, and Metro Boomin collaborative album. Now, heed my words. Rappers are going to start teaming up big on big. Rappers have already started making big collabs this year. This is a project. Future and Thug, Super Slimy came out. We just got the Metro Boomin Big Sean Double or Nothing project, and that was bad. But we're also about to get the Quavo and Travis Scott project any day now. Sorry, I can't hold my excitement for that. But if you're paying attention, this revolves closely around a relatively tight-knit group of people. When I say all of this, I'm thinking, first of all, Metro Boomin, then I'm thinking Migos, and Atlanta in general. And if you know anything about the culture of hip-hop, it's that Atlanta is running things right now, and what Atlanta says goes as far as trends in the hip-hop industry. So don't be surprised if in 2018, you're seeing some of your biggest, most favorite artists all of a sudden just come together and do projects out of nowhere, because what people want in hip-hop right now are these big momentary splashes. Without Warning, however, I think sets a pretty good par for these collaborative mixtapes. I'd say a notch or two below this project would be pretty average or mediocre, and a notch or two above is pretty damn good. I'd say Metro is pretty consistent on this project. 21 and Offset don't always come together for a 100% match, but they do more good than bad, and this album's got more bangers than not. A really quick shout out on this list, The Never Story by JID, or JID, or whatever, but it's really cool to see a new, young, fresh person come into this game, a lyrical assassin from Atlanta, mind you, with a lot of different influences playing in and a very creative sound coming out of this project and this artist. Hoping that he drops something in 2018, I'm looking forward to it, hopefully I'll get to review it, and I just want to make sure that I'm putting that out there. Now, the last album I want to talk about, because how do I go through a year where Drake has dropped an album and I don't talk about it? More Life was More Life, and on More Life, Drake was Drake. And in a lot of ways, that can be the best thing that you can ask for when it comes to Drake at this particular time in his career. I reviewed this playlist earlier in the year, and I'm going to say the same thing about it now, as I said when I reviewed it, because this project is pretty straightforward. Drake takes a moment here and just kind of goes back to basics, which is, I'm Drake, I can flex better than anyone on the planet. If I drop a song, a project, anything, the world is going to stop and listen. So I'm just going to go ahead and be the most me that I am at this current time in my life. And you know what that results in? It results in Passion Fruit, and Portland, and Get It Together, and Galcaster, and Do Not Disturb, and Teenage Fever, and KMT. It's not a great album, it's fine, but Drake's fine is a lot better than most people's best. So yeah. Okay, that's it. Honorable mentions done. Those are the albums that I got. Now, what I need for you guys is to make some guesses as to what albums are going to show up on the top 10 list. What albums are on your top 10 list? What are your honorable mentions? I want to know that down in the comment section. Just make sure that you're keeping up with me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook if you follow me there, because I'm going to be slowly revealing some of my favorites on that top 10 list as we get closer to when the actual video will come out. So that's going to be it for me today. I have been Dev Dumalino. You have been so wonderful for watching, as always, and remember, art without favor is a windmill without wind. Dev Dumalino, out. That's Baka. He's a no long talker. Quick to make the motherfucking check.